Before watching the video, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to keep up to date with all the news of the world. Ukraine's military has denied that Russian forces have encircled and captured the eastern town of Soledar after claims by the head of the Wagner mercenary group Yevgeny Prigozhin that the town had fallen. Suri Chirivity, the spokesperson for the eastern group of the armed forces of Ukraine, said Russians say that it is under their control. It is not true. Russia's capture of Soledar and its huge salt mines would have symbolic, military, and commercial value for Russia. But the situation in and around Soledar appeared fluid and neither claim could be independently verified. Prigozhin had released a photograph showing himself with a group of his fighters and a tank that he said was taken in one of the tunnels of a salt mine in the southwest of the town. Prigozhin also insisted that only units of his paramilitary company, many of them convicts who had been offered a pardon if they fought for him, had been involved in fighting for the town. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar claimed that hard battles are going on to keep Soledar. The enemy does not pay attention to the large losses of its personnel and continues to actively storm. The approaches to our positions are simply littered with the bodies of dead enemy fighters. However, the Ukrainian military's morning summary made only one mention of Soledar, listing the city as one of several areas being shelled in the Donetsk region. Russian forces have recently focused their efforts on the capture of Soledar as part of their ambitions to take the nearby strategic city of Bakhmut and Ukraine's larger eastern Donbas region. With fierce battles centered on the city in sub-zero temperatures over the past 5 days. Wagner units took control of the entire territory of Soledar. A cauldron has been formed in the center of the city in which urban fighting is going on. The number of prisoners will be announced tomorrow, he added, giving no further details. While Western military analysts have geolocated Wagner units in the city center, where heavy fighting has been ongoing for the main administrative building. Russian claims to have taken the southwest of the city, where Ukraine had recently been mounting a defense close to the salt mines, appeared more questionable. The British Ministry of Defense said earlier that Russian troops and Wagner fighters had probably taken control of most of Soledar after 4 days of advances. But Prigozhin's comment that fighting continued in Soledar's center suggested Russian control was incomplete, despite his statement that all of the city was in Wagner's grasp. The Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, and the military command did not mention control of Soledar on Tuesday evening. He repeated his call for more Western weapons, saying Russia was gathering its forces to intensify its campaign, but did not provide details. Ukraine's defense ministry tweeted late on Tuesday, even after suffering colossal losses, Russia is still maniacally trying to seize Soledar, home to the largest salt mine in Europe. Ukraine said earlier its forces were still holding on to positions in Soledar, withstanding assaults by wave after wave of Russian forces seeking their first battlefield victory for months. Some prominent Russian military bloggers have urged caution about the situation in Soledar and said that intense combat in the center and its outskirts continued during the night. The Institute for the Study of War was also cautious over the Russian claims, suggesting previous announcements that the city had been captured and noting that its fall might prove of limited value in the fight for Bakhmut. Even taking the most generous Russian claims at face value, the think tank said in an update on Tuesday evening, the capture of Soledar would not portend an immediate encirclement of Bakhmut. Control of Soledar will not necessarily allow Russian forces to exert control over critical Ukrainian ground lines of communication into Bakhmut. Seizing Soledar would, however, be Russia's most substantial gain since August, after a series of humiliating retreats throughout much of the second half of. Russian forces have been fighting for months to capture Bakhmut. But any victory would come at a massive cost, with troops from both sides having taken heavy losses in some of the most intense combat since Russia invaded Ukraine nearly months ago. The Kiev government has released pictures in recent days showing what it says are the scores of dead Russian soldiers strewn in muddy fields.